Back again, another one.
I'll be the one to take the risk to go and get them bands. I'll be the one to never sit and go and make a plan. Knowing my mother getting older now, don't got no time. Gotta keep a couple for the road, the rest get left behind. To the hundreds, pledge allegiance, I stand. I'm going pull forward in the fucking white sand. I give it all to this fucking mic stand. If it's been done before, then I know I can. I'm on the rise, I'm trying to
Keep a level head.
Okay.
Okay.
Yo, what's the deal, y'all? Welcome back to another episode. I'm Duke.
I'm Omar.
I'm Jalon, and this is Nice and Neat. And fellas, like all of our topics, we have another important one today. A very important one today.
Is that right?
A very important. Yeah. It's very important. You know, we're talking about the social pressures that are placed on each and every one of us as men, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, some people call it just being a man. Some people call it machismo. You know, you may have heard that.
Absolutely.
You know, and some people call it toxic masculinity.
Mm.
You know, and this is when you kind of just operate within a space of, you know, just sometimes it may look like impulsive violence, you know, just to say like, nah, I was doing the man thing. I was taking care of my business.
Mm-hmm.
I was doing what I was supposed to be doing,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and today we're going to be talking about that. We're going to really be just kind of breaking it down and deciphering what positive masculinity is and toxic masculinity. They both exist. Oh, what's your take on toxic masculinity?
Man, well, one, I'm actually really excited. I didn't know we were actually going to dive into positive masculinity.
Oh,
you know?
yeah, definitely.
And I think that's awesome because it shouldn't just be negative. But, you know, before we dive into toxic masculinity, you know, anytime we get one of these type of topics, you know, traditionally I like to really just give like a general definition of what it is, you know, for our viewers and our listeners. So, you know, by definition, toxic masculinity is a traditional male gender role that consequently stigmatizes and limits the emotions boys and men may comfortably express while elevating other emotions such as anger. Right? Now, that's a very broad, you know, definition of the phrase, but I think what will be good for us, you know, to paint a picture for the viewers and the listeners is to really like identify what like toxic behaviors and traits look like for masculinity. You know, I think for me personally, I think if I heard that, you know, that would help me really paint the picture of what it looks like. And for me, you know, these I'm gonna list out 4 different traits, and these are traits that I personally identify with. You know, I think one thing that we do here is do an awesome job of sharing our experiences, right? Because that's where we've learned from.
Right.
You know, I can't speak from any other place but that, you know? So like at one point in my life, you know, I've experienced and participated, you know, in these particular traits and behaviors, you know, that, you know, have caused me to, you know, have some type of toxic masculinity within my life.
Right.
You know, so one of the first ones, you know, that I want to mention is being stoic, which is basically just, you know, being able to like not show any emotion. Right. And for men, we know exactly what that's about, right? Being hard at all times. Internally, I'm in deep pain.
Toe up.
I'm saddened.
Yeah.
Yo, it's bad for me. But on the surface, I'm unbothered, fam. Shit don't faze me. You'll never see it. You know what I'm saying? I can't let you see that. I can't let you see that. You know, so that's one thing. In addition to that, you know, early on, we're taught, right? If you want anything done in life, anything done, you're gonna have to do that shit yourself. Point blank, period, fam. Like we're taught that like as Black men growing up in America early, whether you grew up with a father figure in the home or just a male figure, generally speaking, if you grew up with a male figure in the home, some way or fashion, he's told you, yo, you're gonna have to handle your own business, right? So you hear it verbally, right? But it even goes a step further. Like I think about, obviously talking about my own experiences, right? I think about some of my earliest memories of being able to really watch my dad move, right? And I remember I probably had to be at least 7, 8 at the time, man. I remember going into the garage and seeing my dad underneath the hood of the car, right? And I know good damn and well, like, he's not a mechanic. Actually, at the time, I didn't know, right?
Yeah.
But now I know he was never a mechanic. And even then, I was like, this dude's not a mechanic. What is he doing in the hood of a car? Right? So either one or two things had to happen, right? Either he didn't have time to take his car to the shop, or he felt the shop was going to charge him too much, so he had to do the job on his own, right? So he had to get the shit done. You had to handle it himself. So like, by me just visually seeing him, I'm learning like, yo, as a man, this is a learned behavior. You got to be self-dependent, you know? I can't rely on anybody else but myself, you know? Even another situation, I remember going outside. My dad's not a carpenter, but he's sawing 2x4s. He's drilling, he's hammering. Before you know it, we got a cabinet in the garage. You know, like I'm pretty sure, you know, I'm pretty sure he didn't go to school to do any of these things, but he understands it. Like,
he just assumed that role of that masculine.
I got to take that on.
Yeah.
I got to take that on. You know what I'm saying? On top of that, right? Like, you got to be physically tough.
Yeah.
Right? Don't let one moment where you fall down and you don't get your ass up.
Yeah.
Nah, you got to get up. You get dusty, shit, shake yourself off. You know what I'm saying? God forbid you found crying. Stop that crying, fam. Stop that crying. We can't do that, which leads me into my next point, right? When you cry, it like if you do any of those things, now your label is vulnerable.
Soft.
Wow, y'all took the words right out of my mouth. Vulnerable from where we come from in our neighborhoods, fam, is nothing but a fancy word for saying you soft, fam. You soft. I wouldn't even go there.
No, run that.
You took the words right out of my mouth.
So you soft, yeah.
You soft. Now you being ridiculed, right? The homies in the neighborhood think you a punk. You think that the girls is clowning you, right? You think for showing emotion. You think that, right? Because it's just us not knowing, like, right? You think that all of that's going on, right? So like for us in like in our communities, it's like, yo, those type of things are left to the women. Men don't do those things, fam. Yeah. Right? Another, so that was one. Being stoic was one. Two is like displaying emotion. Yeah. Right? We can't be caught doing that. Another thing is being promiscuous. Being promiscuous. Yeah. Right? It's a well-known fact, fellas. Right? You and I, you know it. You know it.
You saying being promiscuous is a masculine thing, or
it's a part of toxic masculinity.
It's one of the behaviors.
Yeah.
It's one of the behaviors, right? Right. It's no matter at what point in our life, it's always been about this. It's always been about this, right? How many? It's. Am I lying?
The more the merrier.
It's always been about how many, right?
That's always been.
Quantity over quality.
Yeah.
Let's think about grade school, right? Remember grade school? Remember them school dances?
Remember them school dances? Oh, boy, I remember them school dances.
How many numbers?
How many numbers you get?
Yeah. How many numbers you get?
How many numbers you get? Let's take it a step further, right? Junior high school or high school. You now dating? Shit, your first girlfriend, if you will, right? Shit, how many months she make you wait? Right? To shit, now I'm in college, right? I'm a man of age. I'm outside.
Yeah.
Let's just keep it real.
How many you take down your first semester?
How many hoes you got?
Yeah.
How many bitches you got?
Yeah.
All right, and I want to be clear, ladies, I'm not calling you hoes, bitches, right? This is how men talk, right? Amongst ourselves. When we having a conversation, we getting down, it's, yo, how many? Let's get to the nitty gritty, fam. Let's get to the nitty gritty.
And then it's like, you ain't got no hoes.
And then it's like, you ain't got no hoes, right? Right. Before I move on to the next, who ain't got no bitches? Before I move on to my next behavioral trait, right? It would be a shame of me for me not to mention that, you know, within being promiscuous, you know, there is this double standard that does exist amongst men, right? Generally speaking, right? It's like all of a sudden we could be promiscuous and date all these women and it's all good. In fact, we get praised for it, right? Good shit, bro. Okay, I see you doing your thing. But yeah, women, and I know we personally have had this conversation all the time about, yo, you got to be fair, bro. You got to be fair. But generally speaking, men tend to be like, oh, no, she can't go do that. Nah, oh, if she do that, she a hoe, fam. Nah, she a slut, bro. What you talking about? But yeah, we tend to teeter that line, right? The last thing which I would say, and this may come as a curveball, but like really categorizing heterosexuality as like the only norm, right? And like growing up in our households, we do know that like there has been like this negative, I guess, outlook that's been placed on homosexuality, right? It's like, yo, if you gay, there's no way you could be a masculine man, and I don't rock with feminine men, so I can't rock with you, right? And the older and more mature you get, you realize like how small-minded that perspective is, right? Just because a man is gay doesn't make him feminine, and just because a man is feminine doesn't make him gay,
right?
You know what I'm saying? So like there are different things that you learn along the way, but I just wanted to put those type of behavioral traits out there to kind of help better define what I guess toxic masculinity looks like
for sure
for us. Yeah,
for sure. So I think if you're listening or watching right now and you want to understand why we're even talking about masculinity, right? I think it's the purpose of this episode, and the whole reason that we're even talking about, masculinity is really to spark healthy dialogue between men and women so we can get clarity on what actually is toxic behavior, right? And we're going to try to do that vicariously and respectfully, of course, by voicing some of the frustrations of men, and hopefully at least try to get whatever woman that's listening to this or that this reaches to understand and empathize, with just our position. As we move forward in the episode, just please keep in mind, this is not a man versus woman thing. It never is. This is really this is a us thing. And, we can all do our part to just improve the relationship, the general relationship between men and women, so we all really coexist, peacefully. But with that said, man, I think my idea of, toxic masculinity is just having or showing hyper masculine characteristics that are detrimental to growth. And, it's something that's going to jeopardize the health of a relationship, the health of, family, the health of community, or mental health. I think that masculinity on its own is one thing, and I think toxic masculinity is another thing, but I think it's really about how masculinity is used, right? And I think that there needs to be a clear line between masculinity and toxic masculinity. And I think that sometimes it gets blurred.
Yeah,
right?
Definitely.
Sometimes it gets blurred. And I don't think masculinity is toxic, right? If it's exactly what's needed to create balance with femininity, right? And sometimes toxic masculinity is thrown around so much, and people look at basic male behavior as toxic, but to me, sometimes it's exactly what's needed to have this system that we have that runs smoothly, but I know we want to dive further in, Jalan, and talk about, let me ask you something. All right. Is masculinity, as toxic as some women can make it seem?
No. And I'm gonna answer that affirmatively.
Okay.
Part of the reason I'm gonna answer that affirmatively is because it's literally things that women go through that men will never understand. And it's literally things that men go through that women will never understand.
Yeah.
And this is no shot to anybody when I say what I'm about to say. When it comes to a household and it comes to raising up children, that's kind of like why men and women are supposed to be together to raise a child, so they can get the balance of femininity and they can get the balance of masculinity.
Right.
So it's going to be times, for example, if I had a son, there's going to be times where he's going through something that I will understand a little bit better than his mom. Right. So, for example, if we're at football practice And setting is very important as well when it comes to masculinity. Setting is extremely important when it comes to masculinity, when it comes to femininity, when it comes to all of that. Setting is extremely important. So if we're at football practice and my son gets his ass knocked down, there's no running out there getting mad at the kid who knocked my son down. You got to get up, right? Because you signed up for this. This is a tough sport. It is what it is. You signed up for that. So with that being said, it's certain aspects of life that prepare men in societal forms to be who they're supposed to be, right? And when I say who they're supposed to be, I mean protectors, providers. I believe that every woman wants their man to be a protector and provider. And whether he is or not, you want to feel that security. Because feelings are more important than the actual thing that's happening. If you feel safe, if you feel protected, if you feel provided for, that's a very important thing. And that actually starts at a very young age. A very young age, to where, you know, sometimes we may hear, you know, that's a toxic thing to say, get up and don't let that little boy cry. But that's like preparing him for the strength that he's going to need to provide and protect for his family. I understand he's your baby boy and he's your son now, but eventually he's going to be a man and he's going to have his own baby boys and his own sons, his own daughters that he's going to need to protect and provide for. So to answer your question, Duke, I definitely think there's a clear, distinct difference between toxic masculinity and masculinity. I think there's a place for masculinity. I don't think that, and O spoke to it earlier, just because you may be a homosexual man doesn't mean that you can't be masculine as well. Right? Because I know homosexual dudes who are masculine, who people would never know if they didn't understand them or know them as a friend. So that doesn't rule you out as just being masculine or not, just because you like women. So yeah, just to answer your question, Duke, absolutely. There's a difference.
What about you, O? What do you think? Would you say that masculinity is just kind of loosely thrown around, right? And do you feel like, I don't want to say is it as toxic as women make it seem, but do you feel like there are not all elements of masculinity aren't negative?
I personally, I just heard of the phrase toxic masculinity like within the last 5 years. So for me, I feel like it is loosely thrown around. And I feel like it's loosely thrown around because people haven't taken the time to really do the research and the homework on what it really is, you know? Also, there isn't enough praise on positive masculinity or healthy masculinity, right. You know? So I personally don't think people have a great grasp and solid understanding of what it is, you know, to really just be throwing around the phrase. I just feel like if women are slighted or just feel like the men are out of control, they just throw the phrase around, you know? So I mean, and I also don't feel like that women are sitting down and having this conversation with men to really break it down, you know, like
why?
And trying to understand.
Like for me as a man, as I'm growing up in this world, in this society, all I know are these things. To be tough, to be, I want
courageous,
respected, protect. You know, all I know.
Aggressive and violent sometimes.
That's it. If need be,
sometimes
if I have to take it there,
right?
If I need to take it there, that's all I know. You know, so unless I have another woman giving me an outside perspective and really showing me what's really in the frame, because it's hard to see the picture when you're in it. You know, of what it really looks like. Then how do I have a true understanding of what it is? And I think that's what's really going on. I don't think there's enough dialogue going on right now about toxic masculinity, what it is, how to define it, how to get around it, and like how to improve it to create healthy masculinity.
I don't really necessarily want to say it's not what women are trying to make it seem, but I do think toxic masculinity is real, and a lot of men have to address it, right? We want to embrace that, but sometimes, and maybe often, I do think that toxic masculinity is, you know, not accurately identified. You feel me? And I feel like, you know, meaning that I feel like there are masculine characteristics that some men possess that may be taken out of context, you know, and interpreted wrongly, because a woman could be associating toxic masculinity with someone's behavior, someone's negative behavior that had an impact on her, right? And then,
just because she didn't like it,
right? So like, just because you don't like it or it rubs you the wrong way doesn't mean it's actually detrimental or toxic to you or the people around you or the people like you, right? So I think it's important to know that. And then like not liking someone's behavior doesn't automatically equate to them being toxic, you know?
Man.
If we just kind of walked around, and not saying that it's that simple, but a lot of the times, man, to say someone's toxic, right, you got to really know this person and dissect behavior and see where's like where's the toxic and the cancer and stuff like that. Where's it happening before you just say it's toxic behavior? Because like he said, if I tell a little boy, hey yo, don't cry, right? It's so easy for people to say, hey, that's toxic, before understanding, well, we grow up in a world where they're gonna bully us.
Yes.
Right? If we cry.
Yep.
We grow up in a world where we may not even find a suitable partner to trust us if we crying all the time. You know what I mean? So those are things that a lot of people don't consider. And I think they do need to consider when they're talking about and throwing around toxic masculinity.
Okay. And to circle back,
that is halftime. Listen, I try to let my dog get his bars.
The conversation was getting good.
I was gonna take it. Since we was gonna offer it up the time, I was gonna take it.
Forget all that. Yo, what's the deal? Yo, welcome back to the Nice and Neat Halftime Show. I'm your host, Omar, and you guys know what we like to do here. We like to promote the things we have going on. So the first thing we would like to promote and talk about is the Create Gold Masterclass by Jalon Webster, our very own. It's centered around learning how to develop your own brick and mortar establishment, fam.
Look, man, I put a lot into it, lost a lot of sleep over it, and I really just put my heart and soul into this project. This was my exit project, so everything that I know, I gave to you guys specifically. So go ahead, check that out. I have a free trial on there as well.
He said it best, man. You guys tap in with that. You can find it in the link in his bio at just.jalon on Instagram. You can also find it in the link in our bio on Nice and Neat the Podcast on Instagram. Also, I want to direct you guys to law17.com. You see that brim that Duke got going on right over there. Sturdy, the staple signature Law 17 trucker hat. Yeah, head over to law17.com right now to get your fix. He got some new things in the works. We're excited to see what he rolls out this next season. But if you want to grab that trucker hat, please head over to law17.com right now. With that said, man, I'm really excited to get into really what's become one of my favorite portions of the show, and that's Them the Rules. So, Duke, what do we have, man?
Okay. So check this out, fellas. I'm going to give you a scenario.
Okay.
And I need to know what the damn rules is.
Run it.
Is.
All right.
Run it.
So, and if you're listening right now and watching, go ahead and comment. After you hear what I'm about to say, go ahead and comment immediately. And let us know what you're thinking, all right? So check this out. If you are out with your homie and he sees a young lady that he's attracted to and he's thinking about shooting his shot, right? He's thinking about approaching her and asking for her number. For those of you guys that don't understand what shooting your shot means. But you notice that she's really feeling you instead, all right? How do you play it? Do you let him shoot a shot first and see what happens? Or do you just go ahead and shoot your shot?
This is my homie or this is my friend?
This is your friend.
This is my friend.
This is your friend.
This is my friend.
Makes it a little more.
It makes it a little more.
Yeah, this is your friend. So.
Yeah, I would say because he is my friend, you know, based off the situation, even though my awareness is on 100, fam, and I know what's going on, because it's my friend, I gotta let him shoot his shot first.
Word.
Like, you shoot your shot, bro, and we'll see where it take it.
Yeah.
But if you shoot, cause for all we know, right? You might be spitting hot lava that
bro.
night,
You
right?
might come like a dragon, boy.
Hot lava,
you
right?
know?
But if
she's not feeling it,
the
whole time you talking to her, if she looking at me, then
that's kind of telling me where we at.
Telling me where we at. But like, you know, you could bag her.
You could bag her.
It's fair game. It's a fair game. But I'm gonna give you the first shot at it because that's who you want. You told me you wanted her. I didn't even know she existed until you told me about her.
Straight up.
So
I didn't come here looking for her.
I didn't come here looking for her.
Nah, hell no.
You know, you was on her. You told me she existed, and she looked at both of us, and then she locked eyes with me. And then I was like, but he want her though, so I'm gonna let him run that. You know, I'm gonna let him holler. Now, if I see that she don't give up the number though,
but see, you don't want her though, right?
No, I mean, you know,
you only don't want her because
he want her.
Because he want her.
You know what I mean?
You know, ain't nothing wrong with a little casual dating.
You only don't want her because he want her though, right?
Mm-hmm.
He probably saw her first. And he was like, "Oh," and he was like, "Oh," but he said, "Oh," so yeah. All right, but let's say he shoots his shot, right? And he's successful.
Okay.
Right? And they start dating. Do you always keep that in your bag and never say nothing?
Nah, that's off the table.
Or do you let him know, like, hey, yo, she was checking me out too?
If it becomes serious, okay, here's the thing. To me, for me personally, right? If I don't mention it right now, like, and I don't mean like that night, but I mean like soon.
In that space.
In the next 2 days.
If I don't mention the next 2 days and they go on and do, I'm just gonna let it go.
Let it go.
I'm just gonna let it go.
If I don't mention it by the time I see you with her again,
it's over.
It's over.
It's over.
It's over, bro.
Don't matter.
Nah.
It don't matter who she was checking for.
It don't matter who she was checking for. You got it.
Yep.
Because now she has the opportunity to actually develop real feelings for you.
Yeah.
Because before that, she didn't know us
right
from a can of paint, bro.
Yeah.
So she was just looking at me. I might have had that shit on that day.
I might have had that shit on.
Okay.
You know.
And we've had, I think, another Dim the Rules where I feel like I vividly remember me saying she's out of pocket, right? In that situation, if you go back and try to see what's up or entertain that, you out of pocket.
Once they initiated some kind of connection, it's over.
Yeah.
It's over. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So the consensus is that you gotta let your homie shoot the shot.
Gotta let him shoot.
All right. And fellas,
dim the rules. Before halftime is over, you know, I know we talking about toxic masculinity and things like that.
Okay.
And, like women are known for bringing like the snacks to halftime, right, for the kids.
Yeah.
I got some for y'all today.
Okay.
You know, we're gonna go ahead and eliminate that. I got some orange slices for y'all today. Go ahead and
come on
wow.
Look, I got some.
Oh my gosh. Vitamin C me up, bro.
Come on, man.
Go ahead,
Wow.
I need that.
Wow, y'all see this?
Go ahead. I got it.
Wow.
We're about to
The generosity.
We're
The generosity. Hey, with that said, we're going to conclude today's halftime show. We're going to get to it the only way we know how. That's with some positive energy and some positive vibrations and a smile, of course, man. Let's get into the second half. Let's go, man.
Man, I hope you guys really enjoy these orange slices that I bought.
I got to really eat it. Like
No,
the air.
For sure. Because, you know, I wanted to bring those because, you know, typically, you know, men are not known for bringing that. They're not known for being a team mom, you know. How often,
I'm picking up what you laying down.
Yeah, how often you have a team dad, you know, to where he bringing the snacks, he bringing the Capri Suns. So, fellas, there's nothing wrong with that. Ain't nothing wrong with that at all. Mm-hmm. And also, I did kind of want to get into my next point. My next point was based kind of gender roles, right? Gender roles, historical gender roles. You know, historical gender roles at times are appreciated, but at times they lead to what we're talking about as far as toxic masculinity. You know, phrases like women belong in the kitchen, right? I can't say that because some of the best chefs I know are men. So I can't say that. Oh, incredible chef. Oh, cook all the time. Kills it. Chefing is not my thing. It's not my thing. I can cook though, but it's not my thing though. Right? And as far as like the toxic aspect of it, I want to circle back to within the first couple of minutes of the episode when we talk about how being toxic can eliminate the progression of something good, right? So can you imagine if you were a 6-7-year-old boy and all you hear is women belong in the kitchen, women belong in the kitchen, and you develop this passion for cooking, you're not going to showcase it to the man that you hear saying women belong in the kitchen.
Not at all.
And you could potentially be the next Wolfgang Puck.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you could potentially have that type of potential when it comes to cooking, but it'll be something that you'll hold back, and you may not even exercise it simply because women belong in the kitchen. And when we talk about toxic masculinity, we're talking about the type of detriment that can affect the next person's life, not just you in that moment, right? So as a woman, when you want to run out and say like, oh, that's toxic masculinity, just because you feel personally attacked or you feel personally disrespected, is it something that disrespects women as a whole? Or is it just something that you're holding on to because you want that person to look at you in a certain light? And that's something that is really important when we talk about toxic masculinity being used as it just getting thrown around. You know, let's actually pay attention to certain things. Let's actually have the dialogue where, you know, we try to understand exactly why someone is exercising masculinity in that specific space. You know, we don't use, toxic femininity.
Never.
But I also understand we partially don't use that because, you know, quote unquote, it's a man's world. Mm-hmm. So you're gonna always scrutinize the quote unquote oppressor. Mm-hmm. It just is what it is. It's just where it's at. Right. But within that, let's be fair with the spaces that we want to utilize that verbiage of toxic masculinity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's really about it being clear for us, you know, it being, when you say toxic masculinity, what are you talking about?
Get to my orange slices.
You know what I mean? Like some of the things that women consider toxic are things that make us desirable, mm-hmm. right? Mm-hmm. And make us attractive, mm-hmm. right? And some of the things that women consider toxic are things that they even encourage their little boys to be.
Absolutely.
Right? Oh man, you're gonna be such a ladies' man when you grow up. Oof. Right? Oh man, you know, don't cry, right? Be strong, right? So if you are teaching us, I'm not saying like women in particular, but just if the world is teaching us not to cry, right? And saying that boys shouldn't cry, and we go through years and years and years of knowing that boys shouldn't cry, then by the time we're grown men, we're not going to necessarily know how to show our emotions.
No.
It's not going to come natural to us, right? So, but at the same token, not showing our emotion is low-key part of why we're attractive to you guys, because when you talk about not crying, right? Men associate not crying and being tough with being strong and being a leader, being hard, right? Yeah. And when you're a leader, you don't have time to cry, mm-hmm. because we associate being a leader and not crying with being
different. I can't do that. Yeah. I can't do that. I don't have the ability to do that.
Just a protector. You know what I'm saying? We associate it with being a protector, and if we're crying and we are showing hurt and talking about our pain, right? Then it feels like we're not an effective protector. And in our nature, that's what we want to be.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So by the time we become adults, man, we like, I hear you, but that's not how I was raised.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Right? And like in the same breath, we can't expect women, because they were raised a different way, to be assuming the roles of protector and leader and all these roles where they gotta put themselves out there and take the brunt of the violence and the criticism, and do the things like your dad was doing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I don't think any form of providing, and this is just me being completely honest, I don't think any form of providing is toxic. Even when women say, "Oh, you're away from the house all the time, and you know we need this," and I don't think any form of providing is toxic. I don't think any form of protection of your family is toxic. And partially, I'm going to say that because we'll date it back before, at the beginning of time, where there was no benefit for doing anything. The guy who got the girl was the one who could hunt the best.
Yep.
If you can hunt the best, you can provide the best. So with that being said, in this day and age, if you can provide the best, you'll get the person that you really want. Right? So there's a twofold system in this. If I was as a provider, if the way I provide is toxic, why am I getting exactly who I want? And why is she getting exactly who she wants? And those are questions that I sit back and I ask myself when it comes down to certain things. Now, I will say this. Does toxic masculinity exist?
Yeah,
Absolutely. Absolutely. When I say there will be no one who disrespects me, right? I don't think that's toxic. But once again, there's two folds to this. Now, when you begin to impose your will to showcase to that person, you will not be disrespected. That's when it becomes toxic. There's no point to have to get physical to impose your will because you felt disrespected. When do you impose your will? When your life is in jeopardy, when your loved ones' lives are in jeopardy, when your safety is being in jeopardy, when your bubble is in jeopardy. But based off of respect, and someone is, 100 yards away and you're going to walk over to him and say, you're not going to disrespect me, we're falling into the level of toxic masculinity.
Yeah, I've always felt like, I guess you're talking about defending yourself, right?
Right.
Anytime defending yourself is good, right? You have to stick up for yourself at all times, right? But I feel like anytime you get violent, and that's one of the traits or behavioral acts of having toxic masculinity, it's really just you not being able to articulate yourself. Like, I feel like people that resort to violence are those who just don't know what to say. I've gotten to this point and I'm a man, I don't know what to say, so fuck it, I'm just gonna swing my hands. Or fuck it, I'm gonna get physical. I don't really know how to
de-escalate the
situation. This is all I know. In the neighborhood I grew up, there's this problem with the situation, you fight. Right? That's not healthy though. That is toxic as shit.
Yeah.
Especially when we think about who we be fighting. I'm fighting you.
Us.
Yeah.
We're fighting each other, So I've always felt like that.
But when you make that point, right, we're fighting each other detrimental to your community.
To your community, man.
Right? So when I'm talking about, what is toxic masculinity, it's not just being strong and
bravado.
It's not that.
Yeah.
It's not that, because those are cool things to be, because those are necessities for some men. And it's a necessity for like families.
Yep.
Right? But when it turns into like, I'm being violent to this person and my behavior is detrimental to someone that looks like me, or someone that I care about, or someone that I'm trying to build with, then it becomes toxic.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think that's definitely important to note.
So
you said leadership and you said protection.
Yes. So I want to ask you guys then, right? Because I know it's a lot of people sitting back thinking like, all right, cool, you be peaceful, all right, right? When is it okay to defend your manhood?
When is it okay to be? I think you defend your manhood when you feel like it's threatened.
Took the words right out of my mouth. That's really the only acceptable answer.
Yeah.
When you feel like your life is threatened,
Yeah.
Your life.
Yeah.
Your life.
Safety.
Your safety.
Yep. Yeah, you really don't have to defend your manhood for like words that don't matter.
Yeah.
Nah.
But when your life is threatened, and your safety, for sure, right? And that's really just like, I think manhood is just like, even you could take the word and change it for women, and it can have something else, right? But for them, it's going to be the same thing. Yeah, I'm going to defend myself when I'm threatened or I feel unsafe or whatever. It's the same thing, you know. But I want to ask y'all, what are some other examples of what are some things that women tend to misconsider as toxic, right?
Well, I would say you guys touched on two of them: leadership and protection.
Okay,
you guys already touched. You guys touched on those, like, you know.
Yeah.
Even cause I'll answer that because leadership was one of the notes that I had, you know, and as a leader, oftentimes like you're looked at to have the answers.
Yeah.
At all times. Now, whether you do or whether you don't.
Yeah.
Right. I don't want to know if you don't.
Right.
I don't want to know if you don't. It's up to you. And you mentioned it, and you mentioned it too. It's up to you to make me feel safe and protected. That's what a leader does. Right. I don't put the worry and the concern isn't on y'all minds. You guys have to drive a whole nother engine. The worry and the concern is on my mind because I'm the leader of the ship. That shit falls on me.
Yeah.
I don't need to put that burden on you, you know? But sometimes women could take that as them not being included in everything that's going on.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, oh shit, well, you were keeping things from me. Well, nah, actually, I'm really protecting you and providing for you. I'm really not, some of those things you don't need to know about, you know? So I would say, for me, protection, providing is or two of those things.
For sure.
So I'm going to say, just to expand on it, I'm going to say toughness.
Okay.
And I'm going to say dominance.
Yep.
Right? And I'm not going to use dominance in the sense of aggression, like most people are going to think I'm going to use dominance. I'm going to use dominance referring back to old saying, my dad would take 2x4s and he'll take some wood and he'll make a cabinet, right? He's not a carpenter.
Yep.
He didn't go to school for this.
Yep.
He had to learn this through trial and error.
Yep.
And a lot of times when you learn things through trial and error, you kind of have to just kind of dominate the situation. You have to just take the situation on forcefully and say, I'm going to figure this shit out. And I'm going to figure out exactly how to do it. Right? One of the biggest things I've ever heard before, because, you know, I dress nice, my haircut, my hair's always cut. I'm well manicured. Okay. Fridays are my manicure day.
Okay, you got a lot of self-love going on.
Right. It's a lot of that going on, right? I've heard before that I didn't know that you were a handyman.
Yeah.
Right? And it's interesting because, you know, like there's nothing in my life that needs to be done that I wouldn't attempt to do first. It's just, and whether I know how to do it or not, we got YouTube University.
Yeah.
You know, or you just figure something out yourself. You know, every man should be able to, whether you guys call this toxic or not, every man should be able to know how to change a tire, hold a power drill, be able to mount something on the wall, put a shelf together.
All that.
You should know how to do all of that. Why should you know how to do those things? Why should you know how to do those things? You ask. Why should I know how to do these things?
Because women expect you to.
Because women expect you to, right? Matter of fact, check this out. Check it out. Check it out. Story just popped up in my head.
Come on. I love story time. Take us there.
All right. My very first date I've ever went on in my entire life.
Wow.
Blew a tire.
18 years old, right? Go to downtown Disney. This is a girl I'm really feeling too. First girl that ever broke my heart, by the way.
Boy, you took it to Disney, you spent that check. What?
Oh, hey.
That barber money,
Spent that guap.
You know, I've been working for myself my whole life. Money was, money's always
Shoebox
been there.
money. Okay.
Shoebox.
Okay.
No, literally.
I know.
Literally, right?
I know.
Go to downtown Disney. I got a 1997 Cadillac Eldorado, clean. It's clean too. You guys Google exactly what a Cadillac Eldorado is. It's pretty much a coupe. It's a Cadillac coupe with a sky roof.
Roof.
I had my mix CD. I had it ready to go, ready to fire that thing off. You know, with all the latest jams on there, and we drive there. We get there. It's good, right? Let me rewind a little bit. I pull up to her parents' house. I tell her I'm going to make sure I get her home at 11:30. Right? Tell her to get her home at 11:30. They was like, bring her home by 12. I said, I bring her home by 11:30. It's the first time we're going out. It's our first date. It's my very first date. It's her very first date. I'm 18 years old. So I pull up on her, pick her up. We drive, got the sky roof open. It's a nice summer night. So just think about tonight as you listening to this podcast, right?
Whose Cadillac was this, by the way?
come on, man, it's mom's, but she let me hold it. Come on now. So I pull up, pick her up. We go to downtown Disney. We have a great night. It's about 11 o'clock. We're probably about 30 minutes from her house. I told her it's time to leave, right? Let me make sure I get you home at the time I told your parents I was going to get you home. So we leave. We leaving, we driving, it's all good. Boom, catch a flat tire, right? Damn. Pull over. Because I left at the time I left, we still had time to get back to her house in a good amount of time, right? Mm-hmm. I knew how to change a tire. It was something that my dad taught me when I was a kid. Mm-hmm. You know, not through experience of him getting a flat tire, but just, hey, come outside, come in the front yard. I'm changing the tire right now. I want you to see how it's done.
Learn behavior.
Right? Mm-hmm. We didn't have no power tools. Nah. You got a jack, jack that thing up, take that tire off, put a new one on, get rolling. Mm-hmm. That's exactly what we did, right? I told her, and I ain't gonna lie, because I had that skill, I told her, sit in the car, it's all good, let the music keep playing, I'll change the tire, I'll be back in no time. Cool, for sure. I could see the safety on her face. I'm now a protector for her. Mm-hmm. I'm now a real option.
Yep. You're now a problem solver.
I'm now a problem solver. I'm making her life easier.
Yeah.
Right? I changed the tire. Boom. Hop in the car, pull off. The problem with this Eldorado, though, right? This is a 97 Eldorado. This is 2019, right?
19, not 19.
2009. 2009, excuse me. This is 2009.
Like, what?
The problem with this tire that I replaced is a very old tire. So the rubber actually was super old. It was in the sun. It was in the trunk. It was in the trunk, right? So we drive maybe another 5 minutes, and that tire literally shreds. Yeah, it shreds.
How far were y'all from the crib?
Yeah.
Oh, you was at Disneyland. Yeah.
I was at downtown Disney, right? That tire shreds, right? Bad ball, all right? Keep in mind, this is before Uber.
Ain't no Uber.
There ain't no Uber. So people think, why you just didn't?
You low-key Googling direction off of MapQuest.
Oh, our phones died. There's no Uber,
bad.
right?
It's all bad.
Our phones died.
Please tell me you have some money.
I got 35 cents to make one call. Damn. Keep in mind, there's no Waze.
Yeah.
There's none of that at this time.
You're going to have to write the directions down.
So I got a call. I called the crib. My stepdad, he picks up the phone. I tell him what exit we off of, because that's what you got to tell him back there.
Yep.
Yeah, yo, we off of this freeway. This is the exit. You know, come pick us up, right? But the whole time, though, after all of that happened, the whole time I could see in her face the security that she had. You know, just because I was very dominant over that situation.
You knew what to do.
I knew exactly what to do. Flat tire, change the tire. Mm-hmm. It's all good. Mm-hmm. And the security that she felt, the comfort that she felt, it was all good. Mm-hmm. We eventually ended up getting her home. I got her home way after the time. Her dad was pissed. Like, he was pissed.
Did he understand?
Nah, he didn't. He wasn't understanding because he didn't even let me talk to him. As soon as we pulled up, I'm gonna tell you guys off air what time we pulled up. It was ridiculous. Okay, it was because there's no direction there, right? But the important part of the story is the dominance that I took over the situation that allowed her the security that she needed to be able to feel comfortable and tell her family what happened. Mm-hmm. Right? So I think, and when it comes to masculinity, having dominance is a very, very important thing. Very important thing. So that would absolutely be one of my traits that I just would never be able to just get rid of.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought, you know, I think about your story, man, and I think about self-sufficiency.
Yeah.
Right? And I think that a lot of times being self-sufficient like you were, right? And you could have found a way to ask for help, but you said, nah, I'm gonna handle this, right? And I'm self-sufficient and I'm not gonna ask for help. I think people can consider that toxic, right? But what happens is people consider that toxic, but now you get homegirl who also feels protected from the same exact behavioral trait that someone else would call toxic.
From the outside looking
right?
in.
So a lot of the times when I talk about how things get blurry, it's because you can't call. It's a lot like we like to call things toxic that aren't necessarily toxic, you know, and I think we got to do a better job of that. But we are out of time. We got to hit it.
Gotta go.
We got to go.
It's time to go.
You better get up
But
out my face.
Thank you for listening. Thank you for tapping in with us and tuning in. If you have any questions or if you have any feedback for us or any comments, please drop a comment on our YouTube, drop a comment on our Instagram. Let us know what you think about the episode and all that jazz. Okay. Make sure you subscribe to all our streaming platforms on Spotify, on Apple Podcast. Follow us and subscribe to our YouTube channel at Nice and Neat the podcast on everything. All right. So much love, much gratitude. I'm Duke.
I'm Omar.
I'm Jalan, and this is another episode of Nice and Neat, and that's that on that.
I'll be the one to take the risk to go and get them bands. I'll be the one to never sit and go and make a plan. Knowing my mother getting old now, don't got no time. Gotta keep a couple for the road, the rest get left behind. Yeah. To the hunters, pledge allegiance, I stand. I'm going for